All right. Well, welcome everybody to our June pitch event. For those of you who don't know me already, I'm Aaron, and I'll be your host for this afternoon/evening. So to dive right into things, I'd love to thank our sponsors. We wouldn't be doing this, we wouldn't have these events if it wasn't for the support of our sponsors. So we're really, really appreciative of Fasken, Invest Ventures, SFU Venture Labs, where we are today, Bonsai Growth. I saw Bavik in the audience here. We have a couple of members from Fasken as well, Reina and Brock. Good to see you here. Western Pacific Trust Company, BCIT, Sales Primer, Go Recruitment, and Future Standard. So really appreciate the support and longstanding support from all of you. We are also collaborating with NRC IRAP. If you're a founder and you don't know who NRC IRAP is, you should let me know. I can make an introduction. But they help us provide some of the support that we offer to the companies that do pitch here today with some workshops, and some of our sponsors as well offer those workshops, and also with the pitch practice as well. So really appreciate NRC IRAP's support, continued support. Keiretsu Forum is another partner of ours. We see them sort of as a big brother. They're an angel network as well. They cover Pacific Northwest, the Northwest and the Rockies. And they're a little bit later stage. That's why I say big brother. They are sort of that seed plus Series A stage for investors and for companies. So if you are looking to go there after VANTEC, then let us know. We'd be more than happy to make an introduction. And for investors as well, it's a great way to collaborate on due diligence and learn from others, build your network that way as well. So happy to make an intro on the investor side as well. So a little bit about VANTEC for those of you who don't know, or if this is your first time. VANTEC is a first stop for founders. It's one of the first stops on the funding circuit in Vancouver, and we're really proud to have companies that are at the earliest stage come and pitch to our audience here. And from a plethora of different backgrounds or different industries, we focus on BC and we focus on tech. The VANTEC membership here, I always like to say that it's for investors that are looking to get in at the ground floor with companies, and often a great place for new and experienced investors to come together, build your network, find great companies, support those great companies, and also connect with other angel investors and ecosystem players. If you have companies that you're interested in getting up on stage and want to sponsor or support, then I'd love to have you come out and introduce companies. So come and speak to me about that afterwards as well. We use Dealum as our back office. I always like to highlight this because this is a huge value for being a member at VANTEC. You get the company information, you get the contact information, you can see who's coming to pitch, you can see the videos of previous pitches, you can get a lot of information on Dealum. I've also started a watch list for companies that are in the pipeline but not coming out and pitching at our next event. So a really good place to see companies even before they get up on stage here at VANTEC. We are a membership-based organization. So really the main way that we're able to put on these events is through the membership that we offer. We keep it really affordable. It's $600 for an annual in-person membership. It's $300 for an online membership. And so if you are thinking about joining as a member, love for you to scan the QR code or come and talk to me afterwards, and we can chat more about becoming a member. So I've added this, and I always like to give a little bit of a spiel about What If. This is the other hat that I wear alongside Mike Volker, who's here today. What If Capital is an angel capital seed fund. We invest in the companies that come through VANTEC. We like to look at the same type of companies, tech businesses out of BC at the angel pre-seed level. And we do this as a way to pool a lot of capital. A lot of our shareholders are in the audience here today, and also co-invest alongside you. And we're trying to lead more rounds. I'm trying to invest in at least one new company every month. So we are trying to be as active as we can, one of the most active at this stage in BC. So if you're interested in learning more about What If, you can always talk to me. But I like to give a bit of an update on what we've done over the last month. So one of our new investments was Dream Photonics. This one was one we had committed to at our last event. We have now completed our investment into Dream Photonics. And I'm pleased to say that we were looking at a raise of $750,000 US. They actually just raised 3 million USD. So really good job to Dream Photonics. We're excited to see what they can do with that capital and really accelerate things. So excited to be a part of that and join for the journey. We have also committed to a top-up investment in one of our existing portfolio companies, Disc Alloys, and the round is still open. There's a couple 100,000, I think, left, and I'm sure they would oversubscribe if anyone's interested in learning more about what they're doing. A really interesting business coming out of UBC, where they have developed a nozzle to spray metals at a supersonic rate and combine metals into one solid form while maintaining the, what's the word I'm looking for? The properties of both metals. Thank you, I appreciate it. So they've done something really, really interesting. They're starting to get into proof of concepts and pilots now. So we're excited to see what they can do. And they just closed a $600,000 IRAP grant. So that's going along with the matching funds that they're raising right now. So if anyone wants to learn more about DISC, let me know. And we're in due diligence with ImageSight, Phase Labs, and Chondros Bio, all of which have pitched at VANTEC in the past. We're excited to move quickly on these deals. So we are in talks about terms with some of these companies. And if anyone is interested in learning more, if you'd like my due diligence and would like to share in due diligence, that's what this is all about. This is what makes it fun. So I'm more than happy to share that and would love to have some more chats and get some perspectives on these companies. And you can follow us on LinkedIn now. We finally put this up. I think we're at like 30 followers right now. So I'd love to get that up. So everybody follow us on LinkedIn. And yeah, it'll be where we post about the companies that we've invested in, the new investments that we make, the great things that they're working on and strides that they make as well. So follow us on LinkedIn. You can also hear about everything that we're finding interesting in the ecosystem through our newsletter. And I'm really pleased to introduce our new marketing coordinator, Kaya. She's at the front here. So she'll be coming around and taking photos of the event. So you'll know who she is if you see her doing that. But also come and say hi. Kaya's looking to meet our members and learn what it is that you come out for, what you're looking for, how we can sort of service you in the best way possible, both at the events and online as well. The monthly newsletter is, it's a collection of the things we're seeing coming out this month that we think you would be interested in. So I get invited to a ton of events and I forward the ones I think are most appropriate over to Kaya. If any of you have events or programs that you would like us to promote, let me know and we can put that in as well. A few community announcements that I wanted to make today. I got an email today saying that the top 25 have been selected for the New Ventures BC competition. So if you're not following their newsletter, I would do that as well. But you can see all of the 25 companies that have been selected, and they're having a reception with the top 25 on Tuesday, June 9th. So next Tuesday, you can sign up for it through this QR code here. But you can also Google top 25 New Ventures BC, and I'm sure you'll find it as well. And also with New Ventures BC, they have their applications for the Accelerate IP open as well. And this is for founders and for investors that have companies in your portfolio that could use a little bit of money to help them with their IP. They can get up to $60,000. There's three categories, I think. One is just some additional support, one is 25, and one is up to $60,000. And this is something that we'd love to see our government putting money towards to really help companies get that protection at an early stage. So applications are open until June 15th for founders that are looking to get some support in that area. See another phone up, so I'll give you a second. All right. I'm very happy to announce finally that we have scheduled our summer social. So this is a really exciting event. We have hosted it on the rooftop of the Stack building the last 2 years, and we're going to do the same this year. It's going to be in August this year. Last year we did it in July, first week or two, and the weather was okay, but it wasn't like perfect. So we're going to have sunscreen set up. We're going to have some areas with umbrellas. We're going to enjoy summer on a rooftop in Vancouver. So those of you who are thinking about going away in August, I got to talk you out of that. Vancouver is where you want to be in August. We will be sending out invites shortly. So if you're a VANTEC member, you will get first dibs on coming out to that event. And we are really excited to be hosting that with BDC again this year. So we also had to put it in August because FIFA has booked up every single event location. That BDC's rooftop is booked out for all of FIFA. So we really wanted that space again, and they're excited for this. So on to our pitches. This is why you're all here today. So we use this this tool that Sanket at Althra put together, and this is how you can find the companies that are pitching, the pitch decks and LinkedIn's and all of those sorts of things. So if you're not a member and you don't have access to all of this information on Dealum, this is a really great place to get it. We'll keep it open for the month so that you can get access. But yes, scan this. The other cool thing about it is that you get $100,000 of fake money, and you get to invest that into the companies that pitch here today. And so we will be able to see the leaderboard of who gets the most money, fake money, at the end of this event. It's a fun thing to just kind of see where your interests lie of the companies that pitch. I will also say that you're able to ask for a warm introduction to the companies through that, so we can just connect you, make it super simple. You can also ask to be connected with the investors, other investors. Now, before all of you go clicking that button, this is for investors only. And so I will be auditing this, and I will be only making the introductions where there are investors that have expressed interest, the investor members that we have here at VANTEC. And this is so that we can have a conversation outside of this room. We can talk about the companies without the companies there, and we can share our own thoughts. We can decide whether we want to dive into due diligence, and it's a really great way to kick things off. So we have this, and please do show your interest on it. Now for the pitches. So we've got 8 fantastic companies that we are presenting today. We have 4 2.5-minute pitches, and then we have 4 5-minute pitches. And the 5-minute pitches will have Q&A afterwards as well. So do think about questions that you would like to ask. We'll have Diego is somewhere around here at the back. He's going to be running around with a microphone for the 5-minute presentation. So those of you online as well, hi, by the way, I didn't acknowledge you before, but great to have you join us today. So we will have Wallace on the Zoom, ask questions in the chat. We'll get those answered for you. And yeah, let's kick this off. So I'm excited to welcome our first presenter, Megan, to introduce us to Moltra Metals.
Great. Hi, my name is Megan O'Brien, and I'm the founder of Moltra Metals, which is a company that's working to make decarbonization of the steel industry affordable. A bit about me, I'm a mechanical engineer. I did my graduate work at MIT, and my background is in reactor design for high temperature industrial systems. So before founding Moltra, I spent 6 years at Carbon Engineering, and there I was leading teams that were bringing new technologies from idea on a whiteboard through to the pilot phase. And prior to that, I helped to develop a new metal 3D printing system. I developed a pyrolysis reactor that's now being commercialized, and then also spent some time working in a metallurgical coal mine. While I was at Carbon Engineering, I became disenchanted with direct air capture because I saw the true cost and energy intensity of trying to capture CO2 directly from the air, and I knew that it would be more cost effective to prevent those emissions in the first place at the source, especially from mega emitters like the steel industry. And so I took an extended sabbatical, immersed myself in the iron and steel space, and then eventually decided to leave to pursue Moltra full-time. So when I really got down to the root of what makes steel so difficult to decarbonize, it comes down to 3 things. The first is that it's a commodity product, so there's no room to charge a green premium. The second is that the transition from coal to electric steel making is constrained by feedstocks that are scarce and expensive. And then the third is that these existing coal-based producers have these enormous multi-billion-dollar assets that they can't afford to retire before the end of their useful life. So to address this, Moltra is producing a drop-in iron feedstock that works with both conventional and electric steelmaking processes. And we don't rely on these scarce high-grade ores to do that. Instead of CO2 emissions, we actually produce graphite as a co-product. We do this in our novel furnace. We take iron ore, natural gas and electricity. From that, we produce pig iron, which is that iron feedstock that I mentioned, graphite, which has uses both in the steel industry and in the energy transition, and slag, which is already commonly used in the construction industry. To date, we've spent about a year and a half having conversations with stakeholders across the industry to better understand the market, and many of those are turning into early partnerships. We've raised initial funding from Marble. We have technical collaboration set up to do our early stage de-risking, have protected our core IP, and built an advisory team of industry experts. So now Moltra is raising a $2 million pre-seed round that will give us 18 months of runway to get us the technical and commercial proof points that we need to execute on the pilot plant in 2028. Thanks for your time.
Good job. Thank you so much, Megan. All right. Next up, I'd like to introduce Chris to tell us a little bit about Thunderbolt Technologies. So hand over the controls.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Kesarjian. I am the CEO and CTO of Thunderbolt Technologies, a clean tech company that offers industrial solutions on how to process and recover precious metals, critical minerals, and rare earth elements from electronic waste, more specifically printed circuit boards or PCBs. The problem of electronic waste is on a global scale, affecting populations and the environment as well. More than 62 million tons each year of electronic waste is being disposed, and only 22% of it is being recycled, leaving tens of billions of dollars of precious metals and valuable minerals in the field. For that reason, we have developed a very unique technology, which is based on pulse cold plasma. The reactor that we are designing is a flow-through reactor that we have named the Pulse Tower. It is a very clean technology, only involves water, no heat, no chemicals. And with this, we can recycle up to 99% of the valuable minerals in it. So our go-to-market strategy is very straightforward. First, we want to be able to build an electronic waste facility here in North America, establish our technology, showcase the technology, and be able to, most importantly, secure the cash flow. Secondly, once we have our technology in place, we will be able to go and license this technology to other industry players. We are currently at phase 2 of our project. We have finished all the discovery and we have validated the functionality of this technology. We're sitting right now at TRL 4. We plan on finishing this phase 2 within 10 months, and we will close at TRL 6. Then we'll be able to just start our pilot phase and be able to start to generate some revenue. We have a very strong team of serial entrepreneurs, business people, scientists who are on board with us, and mostly we have a lot of experience in waste management and also into industrial relations. We have currently filed for a provisional patent for the Pulse Tower. We also have received two interests from two different parties, one strategic investor who's located in Quebec, a second one who is a small VC firm located here in British Columbia. We also have built a very strong relationship with IRAP NRC as well. So the deal is that we're looking for $500,000 US in order to complete our pre-seed stage at a post-money valuation of $5.5 million. We are EBC eligible, and this will allow us to finish the second and last prototype of the Pulse Tower, validate that we have been able to create a system that will process about 500 kilos per hour, and we will be able to reach 95% recovery of the minerals. Thank you very much.
Great job. Thank you so much, Chris. All right. Next up, I'd like to introduce Stuart to tell us a little bit about BioSquares. So,
good.
Hand over.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I'm Stuart Irvine. I'm the founder of BioSquares. And along with my CTO, Sheikh Dewan, and Brickett Rengen, who's been 25 years in the biodiversity funding organization world, we've developed a whole new way of funding biodiversity. But let's start at the beginning. The world's got a big problem with biodiversity funding. In fact, it's over $700 billion a year that they're trying to find biodiversity funding for. Half the world's GDP products come from nature and biodiversity. And that actually equates to 4.2 trillion products a year. But none of those products give back to biodiversity. So what I've developed is a whole new infrastructure for funding biodiversity. A BioSquare is very simply, it is a receipt for that we work with brands and biodiversity organizations that are registered. And how this works is that it's very simple. And I'll use the example of $100,000 that, let's say, a major brand would provide for a hectare of kelp reforestation. So they submit $100,000. They actually attribute that to 100,000 of their product run that's going to have a QR code, which would then attribute it back to $1 per BioSquare. Very simply, when a consumer scans a QR code or they click onto that product's hyperlink, that automatically opens up a what we call a digital passport page. The consumer then collects their BioSquare. We mint the transaction on the blockchain, and funding is immediately sent to the biodiversity funding organization. It's seamless. It's proof of receipt. And when you look at what's really going on in the world now, and the big problems that brands have and what we solve for them is compliance. Greenwashing, we've all heard the term. It is a real thing. In fact, Bill C-59 is in effect in Canada. And this year, Estee Lauder was fined $750,000. Last year, France fined a company called Shen 47 million euros for infractions on greenwashing. So this is a big problem that they have. No longer can brands just say we're sustainable or we're a green product. They actually have to prove it, and we provide the proof for that product. Our business model, we receive 15% of all the funds that are transferred to the NPO. It's a transaction fee. So it's a high base margin. It's break even. We're projecting on months 5 to 6. And we've got 8 active brands that we're working with. We're ready. We've developed the prototypes. And right now, what we are doing is that we are raising funding for our MVP, which is our beta pilot test, for the data to be able to prove out the system, how the consumers are reacting to it, and then we'll have a national rollout on that. So we're looking at $250,000 by way of either a convertible debenture or a SAFE agreement. And we're here. This is our first time to present.
Amazing.
So thank you.
Great job. Thank you so much, Stuart. All right. We have our last 2.5 minute pitch. So I'd like to introduce Rachel and Eric to take over and introduce us to Learn, Develop, Succeed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Eric and I are really excited to be sharing with you some information on how we're building innovative systems to serve neurodivergent learners worldwide in proven, accessible, individualized ways. The problem that we have to solve is that 1 in 5 people worldwide have a learning challenge, ranging from dyslexia through to ADHD, autism, and more that you can see up there. Where the challenge comes in is that if we don't provide them adequate individualized support to build their confidence and help them succeed, they face disproportionate risks around mental health, job loss, social isolation, and other school and education failures. Our response to this is our mission that we've been living for over 55 years to provide specialized, proven education that meets their specific needs where they're at in their learning journey and helps them build that confidence to succeed in school and beyond. There's a huge market for this because there's a lot of underserved people in our systems. We have been around for 55 years, but over the past 6 or 7 years, we have been proving our ability to grow and serve increasing populations with a 10x growth in the learners that we've served in that time, and to about over 1,200 this year. We have proven outcomes. We work with academic institutions, including UBC and SFU, to measure our outcomes and progress monitor so that we know that our learners are catching up to an average of 1.5 grade levels relative to their peers and showing great markers of confidence and self-esteem that they can translate throughout life. We still have scaling challenges, though, to reach the hundreds of thousands or millions that need our support. This includes systems, education systems, medical systems that don't work for neurodivergent learners, and Other companies that we've talked to, like Apple and Google, we spoke with Ben Gomez, head of education at Google, who said, yeah, well, I understand I have a kid with a learning challenge too, but we're focused on serving the 80%. If you can actually serve the 20% that need individualized support, come back to us and have a conversation. Our response to that has been
Peak, our AI native platform built specifically for neurodivergent learners. With this platform, we want to achieve better learner outcomes, and we have already proven that our service delivery costs go down by 25% by deploying this platform. This is the foundation to reach hundreds of thousands of neurodivergent learners. We are blessed with a very exceptional team behind the scenes, ranging management, expert educators, as well as 7 developers and advisors. We are very grateful for like Greg Sullivan and Lucas Francis.
And help, if this excites you as much as it does us, is by offering us philanthropic donations so that we can continue this initiative and make sure that we're serving learners regardless of their financial position across Canada and through the world. Make us some warm introductions to EdTech advisors, AI experts, and potentially other investors in the future. Our vision is to establish Learn.Develop.Succeed as a national and eventually global leader in neurodivergent learning innovation, thereby addressing the most critical gap in education. And we hope you'll join us.
Fantastic job. Thank you, Eric and Rachel. All right. Those were our 2.5-minute pitches. We're now going to jump into our 5-minute pitches where we'll have Q&A afterwards as well. So those in the room, those online, start thinking about those questions that you'd like to ask. And our first company I'd like to introduce us to is Manu with Moonspire Games, doing business as Speechbound.
Hey everybody. Speechbound is Duolingo meets immersive gaming built for young ESL learners. Today, teachers face 2 problems at once. Students have a hard time focusing in classrooms because classrooms are competing with TikTok and games. At the same time, every learner needs repeated practice, feedback, and support, but a single teacher cannot personally prompt, correct, grade, and motivate 30 students at once. Hi, I'm Manu, CEO at Moonspire Games. I'm an Emmy-winning former visual effects supervisor and polyglot. My co-founder Phil and I, we've worked on over 40 major Hollywood productions. And our core team brings 50 years in entertainment. I speak 6 languages, but my biggest language learning breakthrough came from playing a dialogue-heavy game, a video game entirely in Portuguese. This showed to me that video games are a perfect substitute for real-life immersion. Players explore, interact, and level up all while using languages. This insight led to Speechbound, and a browser-based immersive language learning platforms where students solve puzzles, explore, and level up all while learning a language in progress. Teachers, they get dashboards, assignment tools, curriculum and content, and progress tracking, showing where each student needs support. We're not trying to replace teachers. We're giving teachers the data and control to optimize learning outcomes. Speechbound is powered by a bidirectional proprietary language engine. When we add a new language, students can practice in both directions, from their native language into English and from English into a target language. Teachers use the dashboard to assign vocabulary, and Speechbound turns that into contextual play inside the game. We use AI to pre-populate our language database, scaling content quickly without burning LLM tokens live, helping us to maintain roughly 92% gross margin. So what about the competition? Traditional language learning apps are built for short solo sessions. AI tutors are powerful but struggle with child engagement. And classroom platforms, they have tracking, but they rarely feel immersive. Speechbound combines immersive contextual play, multilingual support, and teacher visibility into one single tool. Today, we have a functional demo anyone can play online. It helped us validate engagement through awards, conferences, and a community over 30,000 followers. We were named Most Innovative Game in Canada and Best Studio in Canada. Now, we're converting Speechbound to a browser-based, lightweight classroom platform for Chromebooks, the most common device in most private schools. The dashboard is mostly done. We're integrating it with the game. We're optimizing for browser performance, and we're getting ready for classroom pilots. We have 2 signed LOIs with SELC Vancouver and Bayswater College, which serves 15,000 students globally. We are now having 3 planned pilots, 2 ESL pilots and 1 French immersion. Our next milestone is proving pilot outcomes. We're going to measure students' vocabulary retention, context recognition, spelling, sentence building, and playtime. Success means students practice longer, they retain more, and teachers know where to intervene. if those LOIs convert into purchase orders in 2027, and I have to say when they convert, if that's right. So at about $20 to $30 per US dollars per student per year, we're looking at about $400,000 US dollars in ARR from those two relationships at once. And the market opportunity is huge. Game-based learning is projected to reach 64 billion by 2030, and digital English learning is projected about 15 billion. So our first customers are going to be private ESL schools, bilingual, international, and charter schools, and then we expand across consumer education platforms and white label partnerships. Our goal eventually is to turn Speechbound into an education engine, helping to teach basically anything from corporate onboarding to financial literacy. Beyond that, we have two more potential partnership opportunities. Compassion Ventures, the team behind ChatGPT, they want us to co-develop a paid white label MVP based on Speechbound, providing us with first revenue next month and a potential partner in our current round. NovaKit, an online platform serving over 940,000 families across 50 countries. They do online tutoring. They want to pilot with us, and we expect a signed LOI next week. So to do this, we already invested $650K to get there over 3 years, and we're raising $1.1 million on a post-money save with a $5.5 million valuation cap. We provide a 20% discount for the VANTEC Angels. And that gives you 18 months of runway, classroom pilots, learning data validation, commercial contract conversions, and a public launch in August next year. Our first recurring revenue will be in October next year. And due diligence is underway. And we're welcoming all the VANTEC Angels to jump on board on this. Thank you very much.
Right, fantastic job, Manu. Great job.
Thank
We'll
you.
open it up for questions, and I see Greg has one already. So Diego, I'll hand this over to you.
Thanks very much. Great presentation. Just curious, so what's the biggest barrier to getting a pilot with the school that you're finding? And also, are you considering selling this directly to the consumer?
Right. So we actually started out as a consumer platform. And because we found that to scale in consumers, you need to spend a lot of money in marketing, as well as putting in as many languages as possible to reach as many consumers as possible, we eventually decided to go with the B2B and B2O route, because that really allows us to have a much more solid business model and a lot more faster access to scale. Because if we sell to private school networks, which is our first customer, we're looking at basically they're venture capitalist companies that buy up schools globally. They have hundreds of schools, sometimes with hundreds of thousands of students. So instead of having to put money into marketing, we go with private school networks, and that's our entry into the market.
But what's the barrier there? Like, how are you finding that sales process?
So we have two people on our board, on our advisor board, which is Lynn Ma. She's in the background. You can say hello to her later. She's helping us with Asia market expansions and GTM strategy. And we got Jose, who's in Peru. He's got access to 4 of the biggest school networks in Latin America, and he's helping us with the go-to-market expansion there. And on top of that, why don't we go to consumers? We are actually now talking to NovaKit, which is one of the fastest growing edtech platforms right now. And they're tutoring. So they're basically talking to teachers, and they want to test with us because we bring direct immersive gaming into their platform, and we'd be a benefit to them. The objection that I face the most when I'm going in, actually, I talk to schools, they come to me now, and they just want to have the product. Like, we see teachers approaching us. We don't see too many barriers on that regard, and honestly.
Any struggle for them to get it approved with their school or anything like that?
Sure. When it comes to the approval, we're talking about private schools. They're enterprises. It's not like a public school board or a public school where there's slow sales cycles. So we're talking to, you just need to talk to the right people, the director of academics or the director of studies or the school owner itself. That way decisions get a lot faster made, and we don't have to deal with school boards. I hope that answers the question.
Come back to you if you have a follow-up. We have one online.
The question is, you mentioned Duolingo at the beginning. Any other competitors? If no, why? If yes, who?
This competitor is Prodigy Education from Toronto. They're amazing, and they actually proved that what we're doing works because they're teaching actively in classrooms mathematics with a similar concept. Prodigy has raised more than $100 million. They got really big during COVID, and they actually have a similar product in development called Prodigy English, but they're only focusing on English literacy for the English-speaking market. What does is we are targeting ESL schools, and we can go bi-directional. So we can go to markets like Latin America, the Middle East, or Asia, and have children learn English, but we can also go to other markets and have English speakers learn the other languages. So there is this one Prodigy as a competitor potentially, but we're actually operating on a global level while they're operating in North America. My thoughts on Duolingo. Well, Duolingo is optimized for short session usage. We're talking push notifications, streaks, and dopamine hits. Duolingo is fundamentally incompatible with classrooms because teachers and parents do not like addictive behavior. So what we're building is we're emulating language immersion inside a video game, and we're coming fundamentally set up with a layer for teachers that is assignment tools, CEFR aligned content, and reporting. And that's exactly what teachers want to see in order to improve outcomes in classrooms.
Anything else online? Okay, we'll go to Abdul. I'm just going to ask a quick question here. Do you have any proof that your tool actually works?
Love the question. I got a slide for that. Thank you. Okay, so the proof that we have is, first of all, teachers are coming to us now. They are asking us to pilot with us, and they recommended our stuff to their students. On top of that, we go to conferences. We went to China last year. We're at international conferences, and we see students deeply engaged, forming full sentences in our target language without prior exposure to that language due to repetitive contextual play. We also have a Discord community that is comprised of students, avid learners, and teachers, and they have been working with us over the last 3 years, improving our product through consecutive feedback loops that we're building. And on top of that, we were named most innovative indie game in Canada, and so I would say that's a good thing to have on the belt.
I didn't catch the name of your company.
Moonspire Games, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Abdul.
Can you talk a little bit more about the technology? Are you like a game engine? Are you a content creator? I'm just trying to understand, like, where do you sit in that?
Yeah, 100%. So think of us as a hybrid between a SaaS product, an EdTech platform, and a video game. So while SaaS products are pretty much only browser-based, our margins are super nice because with 92% gross margin, we're sitting right at a sweet spot. Normal EdTech companies have about a gross margin about 70%. We do not have any direct human-related content creation in our platform because all of our content is pre-generated and we do not burn any live LLM tokens during gameplay. So what we're building is we're using AI obviously to help us speed up the content generation. But once our content is created, students and teachers use the content. And what we're doing is we're paying for server costs. And obviously we're going to pay the 92% gross margin will maybe go down to about 85 to 87% once we start onboarding schools. We're doing teacher support as well as customer support. But in general, yeah. SaaS meets EdTech meets gaming. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So that data that being generated through the LLMs and all that, is it going through like vetting and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So in order to teach for schools, we have to make sure that our content is vetted. We have to make sure that we have quality insurance, quality control. So we are working with language specialists for each of the languages that we teach to make sure that what comes out of the LLM is not just a bunch of slop.
Okay, we got time for one question. I see one in the middle. Yeah, we'll go there. We might have time if it's a short question. Okay.
Thank you. Just to follow up on the content regulation and child online harms are a significant risk and hurdle. Therefore, what is your plan to ensure that you remain compliant, not only with what's required in Canada, but anywhere else that you plan to market?
Yeah, 100%. So while most schools that we currently have that we're talking to are CEFR aligned, they're just adhered to Cambridge English teaching standards. So that's what we're adhering to. But because our system is quite flexible, we have one school that we're talking to, they're just teaching National Geographic English curriculums, right? So we have in our database options to switch between curriculums, and we can with flexibility, can talk to schools and customize the content that we produce to be sure to adhere to any individual player that has some special needs, if that makes sense.
We got a last question just here.
Love the questions. Thank you so much. Keep them coming.
does the game as some kind of tweak that you could address neurodivergent kids? And if not, would you consider partner with a previous company that pitched?
Yeah, would love to talk to them. In fact, neurodivergent issues are obviously apparent. We have actually people in our community that are full on ADHD. And they come to us and they say, we absolutely love your game because this is the only way we can learn and the only way we want to learn. They cannot study with textbooks. That's too boring for them because our game gives you a lot of input from a whole bunch of different activities. So you got to plant some crops in order to learn about food vocabulary, in order to cook a meal, to heal yourself in battle. You got to learn about ingredients. If you want to repair a bridge, you got to learn about some materials and construction verbs, that sort of stuff. So ADHD learners already love our game, and we were very open to talking to people that are in the neurodivergent space in order to potentially create programs in the game that can adhere to that and basically expand what we offer. But yeah, the idea is that Speechbound is going to be a language education engine that can teach anything. I recently had a guy coming from Pakistan. He wants to teach mining in terms of like mine onboarding for his company, and we're probably going to have a white label partnership with him in order to do that. So yeah, we're going to be pretty flexible, and there's lots of options to teach a lot of different things. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Great job. I certainly have a lot more questions, so I'll come find you in networking. All right. Next up, we are going to introduce Erna from Ygeoscience. So Erna, I will pass over the controls, and you have 5 minutes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. And I try to be not boring, and because we're switching gears from language to mining. So I'm Erna, CEO of Ygeoscience, and I'm here with Grant, our Chief Innovation Technology Officer. So Ygeoscience is we are developing deep mineral exploration geophysical transmitter, and this transmitter will basically change that multi-million-dollar exploration gamble into more high-confidence precision target drilling. Okay, so problems. So current tools is, first of all, it's too shallow. So convenient technology only see 400 meter below surface, and also heavy dependent on motor generator and road access, and fails in a hard ground due to power limitation and some safety gaps to monitor high survey power lines. So from the investors' perspective, basically mining burns millions of dollars on concept drilling. It's not target drilling. So how mining exploration works today, they do some regional survey, geological mapping, geochemistry, and some shallow geophysical survey. Then basically they drill on geological concept holes blindly. So no theories. One deep drill hole costs about $1 million. Then they could repeat this exploration pattern, basically runs out the money. So what we bring to the table, so our transmitter will have 90 kilowatt high power, which will be able to see image from surface to 2 kilometer deep, which is 5 times deeper than conventional technology, and helicopter portable, so can deploy anywhere on Earth, and battery powered, no heavy motor generator dependent drone AI integrated into the system to monitor and safety and high power lines. So success rate hitting the deep target without this technology is 2%, and with our technology is over 80%, which is proven by us in our previous work and one of the top 5 copper gold porphyry. So deep target decision also can be made right in the field. We don't need to wait lab or assay time. So size of our technology is about like cube with 1.5 by 1.5 meter and 1 meter, and size weight is less than 1 ton. So basically how it deploys, how it works. Helicopter deploys the system into field and lay out the power line, and Yge transmit the high current into the ground. You can see that current. Then drone monitor that high power line, and crew measure the data, and basically we will see the deposits from surface to 2 kilometer. You can see that conventional technology is only able to see 400 meter below surface and able to detect lithocup near surface deposits like lithocup. And so similar technology, similar principles in high voltage and pulsed power technologies proven by us previously, and top 5 copper gold porphyry deposits at Ygeoscience. And notice here is Ygeoscience deposit, ore body starts 1.2 kilometers. So now we are building better and more accessible version. So about the team, myself, about 17 years of deep geophysical exploration and grant, and 40 plus years of deep geophysical, and former chief geophysicist for Robert Friedland's Ivanhoe Mines Group. And we also have Dr. Butt, 30 years of electrical engineering experience. So in terms of customer attraction, we have 2 LOI signed with tier 2 mining companies already, and Alacrity Spring Accelerator accepted, and MyTech proposal submitted, and full system architecture designed and then completed, and our US provisional patent pending, and battery ready to purchase. And we're working on high voltage components and also mechanical design and more patent filings and IRAP funding and BHP venture collaboration. And so we make money from field service and system sales and also IP licensing. So target market will be global mining exploration companies and geophysical companies and geothermal and defense pulse power industries. So we're aiming to have 12 million ARR by year 6. First 3 years, we focus on consulting and ramping up 20 days to 200 days to reach our goal 33%. And year 5, we generate revenue from more unit sales, royalty, and survey days. And so for this seed round, we minimum ask 800,000. And from this 800,000, 500,000 will go to prototype completion, and 100,000 field test and validation, and 200,000 will give us 3 to 6 months runway. So if we can able to raise full 1.5 million, additional 700,000 will give us additional 12 months runway and improve our prototype, and aiming to 4 million ARR by year 2027, and raise to 3 million scheduled next year. And thank you for your attention. We're ready to take a question.
Thank you so much, Erna. Okay, so we'll open it up for Q&A here. I'd like to start by digging into something that you said in the presentation, that you've already proven this, that you can get from 2% to 80%. So I want to dig into sort of how you've proven this, and have there been iterations that have gotten you to the current product?
Okay, thank you. Good question. And so both my co-founder and I worked at Ygeoscience over many years. And so we used the core similar technology, which is high power and pulsed power technology. And so this actually would be the third and improved iteration. We already used 2 technologies at the Ygeoscience deposit. And so, and executed and designed and executed that technologies. So it 80% is basically comes from over 400,000 meters of drill hole at the Ygeoscience site using this high power, pulsed power technologies, because these tier 2 deposits, they lies mostly and often is 500 meters below surface, and conventional technologies, they have not able to reach those deposits. That's why based on those almost 500,000 meters of drill hole at the Ygeoscience site, and that's how 80% proven success rate.
Okay, very cool. Do you have any questions? We've got one online here. Yeah.
The question is, what can it detect and how accurate?
Sorry?
What can it detect and how accurate?
So we are focused on copper and gold mineral deposits, and that's where we are focusing in right now for implementing this technology. But this long pulsed high power technology also able to used for other industries, for example, defense and geothermal industry. That will be the maybe long term. So that will be usable, and what we use for, and how accurate. So I would say the accuracy is very accurate, because we used similar and core technologies at the previously proven Ygeoscience deposit. That's how we tell, and also based on our work, it's like 2D and also 3-dimensional geophysical ore body and model, and we superimpose that ore body with a drill hole ore deposit, which is the results came after the drill hole. So that's the beautifully match, and it's published many scientific papers. And yeah.
Can you tell me, like, what's the difference between this and just regular seismic surveys? And does it work for oil and gas too, or just for minerals?
Just for minerals, but this is not seismic survey. This is induced polarization and resistivity survey. And
I understand that. I was just like, how is it like the outcome of it? How is it like? Is it read differently? How is it analyzed? And the data that you're relying on to analyze to create the comparisons, kind
of. We measure physical properties like chargeability and the resistivity, and so difference from the conventional technologies, as I mentioned, conventional technologies only reach to top 400 meter below surface, but we can reach up to 2 kilometer depth. And so usually that 400, within the 400 meter, there is near surface deposits, mineral deposits, which is why that tier 1 deposits is still unlocked, still new ground. So basically we're using new technology into new ground, which means below 500 meter, not only Canada, but globally.
My question has to do with IP. You said you've used this technology at the previous business that you worked in, and you've filed for a provisional patent, or you have a patent already. Can you clarify what the difference is with your technology specifically? Is it a iteration of the technologies of the systems that you used? Is there any danger for, the organization you work for before to be concerned with the patent, et cetera, or have any, legal case?
Yeah, and we're using a well-known core technology or core physics, which means long pulsed power and high voltage power. That's the physics of this technology. So the system we previously used, they also used, and based on that physics, but they build that system as power source is a motor generator, which means from AC, right? AC to convert into DC, and also rely on vehicles to deploy that system. But for us, we're using core physics like high pulse, long pulse, and high voltage, but we engineer it differently because we're using our power source is not motor generator. It's battery, which is AC, from AC to AC, which cut the lots of noise. And also as, as industry, we can see, if we bring that technology, current technology, like 10 tons of equipment into northern BC, Yukon, it's impossible. But that actually, is more than 40% of global, major mineral belts is in that type of area and inaccessible. That's why we are solving all that problem into once.
Then the battery powered or other aspects, like, can you talk about like what you've got your provisional patent on?
Yeah, provisional patent is not only battery, because it's engineered differently using a different source, which means it's totally different engineering. So provisional patent is that engineering pieces, not only battery pieces, and also but included, battery agnostic piece also included in our provisional patent, which means we know now is lithium iron phosphate is much less and much reliable safety option for power source. But we don't know 10 years from now, there will be much more developed battery will come. We covered that into our provisional IP patent.
There'll be time for Q&A afterwards as well, so thank you so much. And I think you came here with your co-founder, Grant. Grant, can I just get you to wave? Grant? Just so that everybody knows who they can talk to afterwards as well. You're the co-founder, so just want to make sure that everyone knows who to go to talk to afterwards. All right, thank you so much, Erna. Over to Jordan to introduce us to Minera Systems, or give us a bit of an update as well. You were here a couple months ago, doing a 2.5-minute pitch. So welcome back for the 5-minute pitch. I'll hand it over to you.
This is the Claystone compost facility located just outside of Edmonton. It and the 1,000 facilities just like it process about 20,000 tons of organics per year, which equates to $2 million in gate fee revenue and about $700,000 in finished compost sales. This is critical infrastructure, and the world needs tens of thousands of new facilities like this, but thin margins are holding back the build-out. By deploying our advanced composting platform, we can more than double the facility value while putting $1 million a year in the bank for ourselves. This isn't just a nice-to-have top-line revenue number for these facilities. This is the difference of whether they get built or not. We deploy our systems at no CapEx cost to customers. We extract and capture CO2 from organic waste. We accelerate facility throughput, and we greatly increase finished compost value. Organics today. We are the bridge to the 3,900 facilities we need to manage just 75% of that waste. Governments and industry operators know this, and that's why they're picking up the phone when we call. This market is very concentrated with large operators at the top, followed by a long tail of medium-sized players. At the very top in Canada, we have a company called Convertus Group. They run 30% of the waste management infrastructure. If we were to deploy just across their Canadian facilities, that would be $100 million a year business for us. We've been engaging with them since day one, have been on site to analyze their gas data, and are currently scoping our pilot to fit within their operational constraints. We are starting where the value is the fastest. This is the diagnostics and monitoring platform that we initially developed for our lab setup. As customers found out about our lab setup, they've invited us to their facilities to sample gas data and provide a recommendation engine for them. From there, we move up the stack into physical infrastructure. This is a modular drop-in system that allows customers to test the tech before they expand it across their site, onto new sites, and eventually to these full-scale joint venture builds, which we're managing the waste of entire cities. And this is Mini. This is the lab platform that proved the performance we need to scale. Since 2025, we've run this system for over 6,000 hours and have generated a proprietary data set of gas signals. In that time, we have scaled it 12x, and we've also greatly improved its performance. This has put us in a position to start building bigger. So our technology roadmap is happening in 2 lanes. In one lane, we have our 10 cubic meter pilot. We're currently scoping this with IRAP, and this will be in addition to the 50,000 in non-dilutive that we've already received. In our other lane, we have our enhanced lab platform. As I was saying, this lab platform has allowed us to generate data that allows us to train predictive models and generate insights that would have been impossible just a year ago. This is really exciting for us as all of this data is coming from experiments and reactors that nobody else has. We are getting a big backlog of important experiments though, and we need to speed up. This is the most exciting time in history to be building a company, and there is a reason why we are building this company. I've spent my career bringing new technology to market, and I'm surrounded by a team of engineers and scientists with deep experience at companies like Carbon Engineering, Ballard, and Savante. These are folks who have lived the journey from lab through industrial deployment all the way to multiple exits. We are pleased to be announcing our pre-seed raise, which is our first round of outside funding. We are non-dilutive and grant funded to date, and are raising a base of catalytic capital to then secure additional funding from grant providers. We are currently engaging with early stage VCs and angels and are looking to partner with other angels with experience in blended capital, debt, project finance, and carbon markets. We have come a long way from the garage, but we are just getting started. In the next 12 months, we will build our first lab, or we'll build our first commercial deployment, collect operational data that nobody else has, and build out our lab platform. The companies that win in the next decade will be those who figure out how to apply AI to physical infrastructure, and we are going to be one of them. Thank you. Look forward to your questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Jordan. Let's go to questions. We've got one with Greg to start us off, and then we'll go to Tim afterwards.
Thanks very much for your presentation. Just curious, so with the customer, potential customer, what's the downside risk for them? And also maybe you could comment a little bit about like throughput, batch versus continuous, and like what's a typical uptime?
Yeah, from our point of view, there's no downside for them. They have to make a little bit of space for the system, and that's why they're likely to start with the small modular setup, prove that it works for them much better than their current setup, and then scale across from there. And that's why we've designed that modularity into the system. It's also a lot of the facility operators talk about Convertus. A lot of their facilities are big indoor facilities. They probably won't take the risk on just loading our system into these huge $100 million build outs. So that's the reason for this modular startup. It allows us to test on one of their smaller facilities, prove that performance, and then move into that full JV build later on.
And can you just comment like on runtime, or like is there a risk to the client or customer where there's a stoppage and then everything backs up upstream for them?
I think with all industrial deployment, there may be minimum risk. We don't expect that there's a risk that's greater than anything that they're currently doing with their current operation. So we don't expect that. And we will make sure we're going to be running that at our lab for a few months first to work out the kinks before we just drop it on a customer site.
Is there a cost up front?
The only cost to them, it's a monitoring and optimization fee that is bankable recurring revenue that we take to the bank to help finance future deployments. And that also helps guarantee that if they don't turn it on, we won't just be stuck with infrastructure that's not making money. Once they've hit a certain threshold on the compost sales, carbon removal, then we reduce what that floor is, but we have that floor just to protect us from, again, them not turning it on, which we think is unlikely.
Awesome. Great. Appreciate the presentation there, Jordan. I come from a background in engineering and infrastructure. And my question is with respect to your go-to-market strategy, if you can kind of paint us a picture of like the roadmap and whether there's like a waste to energy play in that milestone, if you can.
Yeah, so we're not doing anything in waste to energy today. This is really working with the facilities that are doing aerobic decomposition and the facilities who are doing biogas and then running their waste through aerobic decomposition after. So that's the facility in Surrey. They do that today. In terms of go-to-market, we start with the analytics platform. So we have 6 different sensors in our lab set up that detect all sorts of different gas signals, which isn't really being done at facilities today. So as we have started to engage with customers, they're really interested in that platform. We haven't told anyone what sensors we're running or how we've built the signals. What we do there is go visit the facilities with a field kit version of the lab platform that we've developed, provide a recommendations engine to them, show them where they could have potential process improvements, start building those relationships at like a nominal subscription fee before we start moving into that 1 container, 10 cubic meter pilot that we're planning right now.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks.
So you've got this plan for how to make this affordable for them to drop in and do a pilot and grow from there. Can you talk about sort of the cost to you and your unit economics with all of this?
For sure. This is a really good thing to get. So here's a look at kind of our greenfield unit economics. Where we're starting is we're already scoping with IRAP. Our first commercial units will be a combination of our capital and a considerable amount of grant money. But after that, it will run on its own. So we have our first commercial deployment, which we will fund with debt based on the carbon removal offtake agreements. We'll be pre-signing before we deploy these. We're happy with these economics, but the real end game is to get to the joint venture builds. This is where these facilities aren't putting anything new on their site. They're integrating our software and hardware into a facility that they're going to be building anyways. This opens up a lot more revenue potential for us and our partner.
Okay. We have a question online. Any others in the audience?
This is a question about the data. It's a pretty valuable asset, I guess. Any idea whether it could be here?
We're staying focused on what we're building today. But yeah, it's a huge asset for us. It's a reason that we've kept secret what sensors we're using, how we've built the gas signal. We see applications in other industries, but we don't want to get overly distracted with what that may be just yet. And we're really focused on getting the industrial deployments out there. Nice thing about these deployments is they are data acquisition engines. So as we get more out there, we get more data points, and that cycle gets rolling.
Thanks. Very interesting presentation. Thank you. I'm interested here really in your corporate structure and what an investor is going to be investing. All these JVs look messy to an angel investor. We invest, and then normally there has to be some form of an exit. And when you've got a bunch of JVs out there, they're complicated things to exit from. So why this corporate structure and how are you going to address the concern of investor?
That's a really good question. Frankly, it's the first time I've heard it, so I think it would be great to get into it a little more deeply afterwards. We don't expect, first of all, so our plan is we're raising the $750,000 now. We plan to raise $5 million in 18 to 24 months. And then the JV setup likely won't be happening until at least 5 years from there. I don't know exactly what that structure is going to look like today. It's very early days discussing with the customer. Right now, the focus is on proving the economics on that the modular deployment strategy. But one of the reasons that we're looking to connect with angels who have blended capital experiences so that we can set this up right from day one and not get ourselves into a position where angels are diluted or frustrated later, because we also are investors in the company. We are self-funded to date, and that's going to be important for us.
Is it possible to retrofit existing facilities with your sensors and go to market that way? Have you considered that option?
Yeah, it is. It's possible. There's layers of value that we can create. So right now, what we're designing at our lab and facility is the best path forward. So it's our hardware, our software, our full system to achieve the highest performance. There is a possibility of retrofitting existing facilities. The extent to which they get retrofitted will determine what their performance potential is. So we may not be able to achieve exactly what we're achieving in the lab if they don't have a component of our airflow strategy, for example. So we're designing that now. We're working towards that now. We're engaging with our customers so we can plan for it. But there are different levels of engagement that customers will be able to work with and achieve different levels of performance.
Thanks so much, Jordan.
Thank you.
All right. We have our last presenter. I'd like to introduce Angela from Worldtree to come and tell us a little bit more. I'll hand over the controls.
Hi, thank you, everyone. My name is Angela Burton. I'm the Director of Investor Relations at Worldtree. My sister, Wendy Burton, incorporated Worldtree many years ago. And in 2015, we created a security and an offering with a gift that's already been given to us from Mother Nature. So we're a regenerative timber program. We're a high-performance hardwood for the North American market. And the problem we're solving is that the demand for lumber in the world is increasing, and it's taking us a really long time to grow the trees that we need. The demand is ready to quadruple by 2050. We've lost 30% of the species that are at risk, and we're not growing enough trees fast enough. It takes 25 to 30 years to grow pines. It takes over 40, 50 years to grow some cedar, and they're going extinct, and we're not going to be able to use that kind of lumber. Now, it's really bold and audacious for two young women in the lumber industry to create a lumber market, but we've actually done it and come full circle. So it's really exciting to share with you what we've got. There's a beautiful tree on the planet that my sister and I learned about, and it's in the Guinness Book of World Records, this tree. It's the fastest growing hardwood tree in the world. That's a 9-month-old tree growing in Costa Rica. They'll be planting coffee beans plants underneath that tree. It's agroforestry. That's a 10-year-old tree. And this tree grows 10 to 20 feet in 1 year. It's 3 times faster. And of course, it's got a beautiful, lightweight, beautiful lumber that you can make lots of products with. We've got what's really awesome about this tree, it sequesters carbon. And of course, we're all made of carbon. It's great to bring some down, but it gives us some great oxygen. It's a non-invasive tree. It enhances the soil. It actually creates beautiful soil for other plants and foods to grow underneath the canopy of the tree. When you cut the tree and harvest it for the lumber, it grows back another tree, and it has 7 generations on the same root system. And it's also biodiverse. This beautiful tree blossoms. It smells like jasmine and vanilla. The farmers are making honey from the blossoms in the tree as a secondary revenue source for their farm. We were featured in the Bloomberg business, and we said we already have the world's best carbon capture, and it's really an all green things can bring down some great carbon, and that's kind of awesome. This is what we've already done. This is awesome. We've raised $18 million in 10 years, and we've got $300 million worth of assets in the ground with 8,000 acres already planted with 375 farmers And we plant in Costa Rica, Guatemala, Mexico, and down in the south in the US, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina. These trees love that kind of climate. It's a semi-tropical tree. And it's pretty awesome. We've got 3 labs and 7 nurseries, and we've come full circle now where we're starting to harvest the lumber, and we've also harvested third-party trees. The wood is light, it's blonde, it's strong. Furniture, cabinets, it's a finishing wood. Musical instruments, fenders made Telecaster, Stratocaster guitars out of our trees, out of our wood. The boating industry, paddleboards, surfboards, all the wooden blinds in the world, probably 90% of them are made from this particular wood, Polonia. It's a well-known tree around the world in other countries for the lumber. In Japan, it's called the kiri tree. There's lots of names for this tree in other countries that it grows. Let's see, it finishes well. There's just so many different properties that this lumber could be used for. And we've got current sales in our pipeline of over $5 million. Vintage Wood just got a truckload of our lumber shipped to them. And before it even got to their warehouse, it was almost all sold. So it's amazing. And there's lots of other companies here that have how we share our profits. When we harvest the trees, the farmers get 50% of the profits, Worldtree gets 20%, and the investor gets 30% of the profits on the sale of the. I'm going to go by this one for right now. We're raising $10 million this year. We've raised $5.5 million in one of our offerings that we had. The minimum investment is $50,000. The unit price is $2 a share, and we've got tiered pricing and different things. Anybody have any questions? Okay.
Yeah. All right. Great job. Thank you so much, Angela. I do want to dig in a little bit to some of the slides you skipped over, and I've actually known Angela for a very long time. I first invested in Worldtree in 2018, along with my dad, and so really excited about sort of the environmental impact that planting an acre of trees can have. But I'm a numbers person, and I want to dig into what this looks like from a return on capital perspective, and so. You've started to harvest some of the trees. You first did plant in 2015, was that correct?
We raised capital in 2015, and we planted the trees in 2016, and we were harvesting at the end of this year in 2026, and we'll be providing capital gains in the first quarter of 2027.
And you have been harvesting third parties. Maybe tell us a little bit about
that. There are a lot of farmers down in the south and other countries that have grown these trees for the purposes of timber. I went to Plains, Georgia, met with Jimmy Carter. He planted 15 acres of his trees in the ground. We harvested his trees. We've got the lumber, and we've done third-party harvest of other farms. We're harvesting a 65-acre farm in Virginia as we speak this week. So we've got other farms that we're harvesting, because the problem we have is we've got a high demand for the wood and we don't have enough wood. Like, we have to get a lot more wood in the ground, a lot more trees in the ground.
Okay, and so of that demand that you're already getting, I'm going to run through some numbers here. So we're looking at a price per board foot of $6 US. On average. And from each tree, you can get about 200 board feet, and for each acre, you're looking at about 200 trees. Yeah. Okay, so I ran the math here, and if we're talking about that for the investment that I made back in 2018, and you have to take into consideration the survival rate as well, which is where I'm going with my question, I would be looking at a return on my investment in 2029 after you've harvested and sold the wood, and I'd be looking at about just over a 25% IRR over those 10, 11 years. So that's really great, but you've learned a lot from the very beginning. Okay, so I understand you had a survival rate in the first couple of years of like 10%. Thankfully, when I came in, you've got a survival rate of 40%, and so I've factored that into the calculation that I just gave in the IRR that I'm looking at. What is your survival rate now, and what changes have you done to get it there?
There's been 10 years of R&D. So survival rate of the trees depends on elevation, soil, quality of farmer, location. I mean, we've really come a long way in what that looks like, and we have a 98% survival rate now with our trees because of what we've already done and accomplished. Yeah, so that's that's what's happened. So a lot of R&D.
Question on the audience and online as well, but I've got a number as well. And so we've already talked about the harvesting you've already done. You talked about a lot of the reasons why these trees are so special. You talked about the carbon capture as one of the highest carbon capture trees that exists right now. Can you give a little bit more detail on that?
Well, when we plant one of these trees in the ground, if you can imagine a Jack and the Beanstalk tree, it's like 15 to 20 feet in 6.5 weeks. And it's got these big leaves that sequester a lot of carbon. So it's sequestering three times more carbon than any other tree on the planet that we know. And it stores all that carbon in the trunk of the tree. And then we make products and keep that stored in there. So when this particular wood dries, it doesn't split, chip, crack, or warp. It releases all the moisture out of the tree and holds its shape. They've been making furniture and boxes and different things all over the world with this kind of wood. It's actually a really beautiful. So it's got these beautiful properties inside the tree itself that's already naturally there. Worldtree does not genetically modify or engineer the tree at all. It's indigenous to North America, got wiped out during the Ice Age 10,000 years ago, and we brought it back into North America through planting it with farmers, and it's an agroforestry project. It's not a reforestation project, just so you know. It's farming for timber and intercropping with other plants and other animals and things like that. A real biodiverse, regenerative investment. And the returns are awesome. Whoever told you that you can't grow money on trees, I want you to consider you can. Jeremy Grantham is invested billions of dollars in timber and trees. And he said, as long as the rain rains and the sun shines, your money will grow on trees. And we've got some great opportunity here to make some great capital and return. And it's a do good. Everybody wins. The earth, the soil, the farmers, the investor, wood, supply and demand. It's a pretty awesome thing. And we've come full circle. So it's a pretty awesome place to be. Any other questions? Oh yeah, you guys, this is so great, okay? There are only 4 woods in the world that have a Class A fire rating, which means you don't have to chemicalize the wood to prevent the wood from catching fire. And the chemicals they put on wood to do that is kind of toxic to humans. It's got a negative impact on the human body, the chemicals. We have a Class A fire rating, which we don't have to use those chemicals. So our lumber is going through the roof of, we don't have enough to supply. We have to get more trees in the ground quicker, faster, sooner to meet the demand that we have. Just as an example, our CEO is talking to IKEA and testing our wood. Their swamp ash is going extinct. They want over 200 million board feet every year. Right, so it's a pretty amazing thing when we've got Weyerhaeuser and other big companies that are looking for alternative wood supplies. And this Class A fire rating is a game changer for Worldtree and our wood. Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. After. Okay. Yeah.
It's going to be a two-part question.
Yeah.
Paulownia is considered an invasive species outside China, Korea, etc. There's a long history of unintended consequences of introduced species of plants, animals. What assurances do you have that there are no unintended negative consequences? And since it is a
yeah, it's such a great question. If you look up Paulownia, it's on the invasive species list. Just like a maple tree, not all maple trees are invasive, but some are. The Norwegian maple is. The sugar maple is not, or other maple trees. So Paulownia has one invasive species tree. It's on the invasive species, and it's called the tomentosa. We plant elongata, fortini, calcami, and they are not on the invasive species list, and Worldtree does not use them. Jimmy Carter planted 15 acres, 100 or 250 trees an acre. When we went there and harvested 20 years later, they were the same amount of trees in the ground that he planted. So it's not invasive, and it's farmed. It's also not reforesting. So the farmers are taking care of and looking after every single tree that's in the ground. And we audit every single tree in the ground with every farmer because you've invested in it. So it's
and the second part is, since it is a well-known tree, what is Worldtree's secret sauce?
Our secret sauce is love. Our secret sauce is love. We love our planet. We love trees. We love farmers. We like lumber. And we have a secret sauce because of our genotypes that we use to plant in different regions. You know, the elongata, the ferna, and the R&D that we have. But it's really the love of making a difference for the future, for our children to have clean air and great things. Yeah. You can't get enough of these beautiful trees in the ground where they grow. Yeah.
Yeah, put your hand up again. Thanks.
Thanks. I was just curious if there's other companies doing something similar with the same species or if you've got other relative competitors.
Apparently, we're the largest supplier of this wood, and we're going to be harvesting every year because our investors have come in every year for the last 10 years. So we're starting our first harvest this year. And apparently with over 8,000 acres planted, and we're harvesting those trees every year, we're becoming the largest supplier of this wood in a new market. This is a new market for lumber. The last time new wood came into the market was, it's a regenerative, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, but it's a plant fiber, it's not a wood. So they use chemicals to make it into a wood product. We don't have to do that. We're growing wood and it's that fast and it's regenerative. But to introduce a new wood into the market in North America is really a bold, audacious thing to do. And we're actually doing it. And we're the best out there in the world with the biggest R&D. You can check it out with anybody. We've got Signal Line. You can check them out. They're just ready to sign a term sheet for $3 million to fill up our $10 million raise. And we'll have raised that, within the next 4 or 5 months, I'm sure. I just know we will. There'll be a room for yes.
What is it? What are the investment terms? What's the deal? What's a unit? And when and how do you get out?
Yeah, this is in the offering documents. I have a PPM, so if anybody wants to get that, it's an LLC. $2 a unit, 2,000 units equals 1 acre of trees in the ground. And that's about 110 trees. We plant at the contingency fund. And the diversification of your investment is to plant with all of our farmers in all of those locations. So that's how we diversify the risk. If any one farmer loses, I'm going to answer your questions. Okay. So it's an 8 to 12-year hold. I think we're going to be harvesting these trees a little faster, year 8, year 9, year 10, and then that's the exit strategy. It's an LLC that we created from the corporation that we own, and you redeem those units for a capital gain in 8 to 12 years is what the offering document says. That's how long it takes. By the way, if I was on the island, I just flew in from Ecuador. I leave there part-time. I've got a round of a tree that's 7 years old and it's this big and it grew in Tennessee. So we can harvest in year 8, year 9, year 10. So that's what that is. It's a 10-year hold. It's a legacy. Yeah, does that answer your question? It's a long hold. It's a long hold, correct.
I was sold till you said LLC. Canadians have a big double taxation risk if we invest in LLCs.
Mhm.
Is there any way around that?
There isn't through our EcoTree program. We have a corporation as well, and there's some equity for yearly dividends with shares that I'm not going to talk about right now, but there's signature farming projects that we're also creating in some countries, but we don't have that. We don't have that. And we'll take off in the US LLC the tax implications so that you don't have to deal with filing taxes in the US at all, and you will get your capital gain in US dollars to your accounts when we're ready to pay you out. You did not. You didn't. You can't, no. We have a Canadian corporation. We incorporated Costa Rica, Mexico, and we incorporate in every country that we grow the trees in, but we don't. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there are quite a number of environmental funding agencies out there that would, I would think, look at this kind of funding initiative. Most of their funding initiatives don't have an ROI attached to it. They're just making a distribution for a good cause. I mean, do you approach those people?
We don't. Family offices, high net worth people. I mean, the very first year that we created our EcoTree program, we went to family and friends and I raised $100,000 in a week. And then we planted trees with farmers that knew how to grow the trees. And then we opened it up and created offering documents to have everyone come in that wanted to. And this investment right now is just open to accredited investment. We did raise capital in the past on crowdfunding platforms as well. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So much, Angela.
Yeah, please come see. Oh, just one more thing. Our business cards are made out of the wood of the tree. I only have a couple, but it's a beautiful little card if you want to come feel the wood. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Angela. All right, that brings us to the end of the presentations here. So as we pull this up, if you haven't already voted for your top pick or invested your $100,000, please do now. We'll keep this up at the end, and then we'll come back in 5 minutes and I'll announce when we have the leaderboard up there. Final housekeeping items here. So our next event is actually going to be on the second Wednesday of the month. So July 8th, that's because the 1st is Canada Day. And so you can sign up for it today. It's going to be here at SFU Venture Labs as well. And I think that's about it. Yeah, again, we are a membership-based organization. Love to invite you to join the community if you aren't already a member. And thank you all so much. We've got drinks and food at the back and look forward to some networking.